All right, I'd like to call to order the Urban Renewal Commission meeting for November 4th, 2015.
Commissioner Pauly?
Here.
Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner Benville?
Here.
Commissioner Holliday?
Here.
Commissioner Mangelberg?
Here.
Chair Smith?
Here. And citizen comments, but I don't think we have any. Okay, we do not. Adoption of the agenda.
I'm okay.
All right. General business, 15-604, revision of the Cove disposition and development agreement, change of use for Lot 5. Eric.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. A request has been made by Clackamas Cove LLC to add Lot 5 to Phase 2 of the Cove development to change its proposed use from office to mixed use. That would include 2 restaurants, a leasing office, and a public plaza area. The change is desired it was expressed that the change needs to be made due to current market conditions and to comply with the parking requirements for build out of Phase 2. It's also expected to improve the financial feasibility of the project and enhance its overall economic impact. You do have a detailed memo request from the Clackamas Cove LLC, and they are here tonight to answer any questions you might have. If the Commission does agree with this change, then staff would proceed in developing or establishing an amendment to add to the DDA.
I do have a question. Is the design on the third board there different than the one that we've seen before? Have you redesigned the building to accommodate this change?
My name is Ed Darrow, the developer on the Cove, representing CCLLC, and this is a different elevation. We have a total of 7 buildings, and they alternate. Every other building is a different elevation, different roof style, and different colors, which is kind of part of the mandate and under the code. So this building here, which is in the center, that's Lot 5. And if you look at the overall site plan back here, it would be right in the very center. So we go with one type, we alternate all the way across for a total of 7 buildings.
Okay.
I got a couple questions.
Yeah, go ahead.
So for Lot 5, this new proposal, you have a restaurant on both sides now, right?
Yes.
And then some office, and then you still have residence up above.
Yes.
And then if I looked at the drawings right, you have a ramp that goes to a garage for the residents.
Yes.
So how did I couldn't find out where that ramp goes into the building where it doesn't disturb the outdoor seating and stuff like that for the restaurants.
The ramp goes it's right there.
Okay.
And on the overall site plan, it comes right down here to the left side.
But how does it get into the the actual building?
It drops down. We're at 12 feet high. It goes down at approximately 8% grade and dives into the parking structure, which is totally below. This blue
So the
right
entrance
here,
is underneath the outdoor seating then?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so it curves underneath that. Okay.
And then where is the exit? Just on the other side?
No, it turns around and come back up.
So that's a two-way.
It is
Okay.
two-way.
And so the parking along the street side would be for the offices and the restaurants.
Totally. And that was one of the big conflicts in the design element was where can we get the parking to accommodate the restaurants? We actually increased the size of the restaurants from 1,625 square feet up to 3,200 each. Felt like it would be a better accommodation, especially given the outdoor amenity, which is this back area. This is a restaurant here, restaurant here. They both have great visual corridors out to the water. It'll be a great setting for summer times, and you can actually get out there and really enjoy it. And the intent was not so much to say, all right, we want to get more residential. The question is, could we actually get the office space in there? Office space right now in the general area, there's about 282,000 in Milwaukee, Oregon City. It's about 10% vacant. But 2 of the primary projects that are within 3 miles are at 20 and 30%. I went and walked those projects. They're gorgeous buildings, but they are not working. You know, and you have to look at it as a kind of little microcosm whenever you're doing a project. Is it working in the immediate area? It is not. And to build that kind of a project at current cost would mean we'd have to be at the $25 to $35 a foot. I would never do it, and I don't expect somebody else to do it. The other issue came down to, where do we get the parking? We had a concept of putting 272 spaces across the street, which was on the Tri-City property. Their lease 6 years ago was going to be a 90-year lease. 5 years ago it was going to be a 60. Now they're saying it'll be 15 to 20. I can't finance that, you know. So we said, all right, let's take and figure out the best economic deal that we can do. And if I said, all right, I take this center spot here, and if I built a office project, it takes about 450 square feet per parking space for subterranean parking. We've got 43,560 square feet, which is 1 acre. That's all that site is in the very center. And that represents, about maybe 90, 95 parking spaces we get if it was just crunched in there. And at 4 to 1, a minimum parking space, we could get 24,000 square feet of office. 24,000 square feet of office on this is about $2.5 million less than if we did the residential, the office, and the restaurants. So the economic base really supports the modification. The other thing that I don't like about where we were is, if I'm going to get stuck with a vacant lot in the middle of a spectacular project, that's not fun. I want to build the whole thing out, and one of the things I've been talking with Eric and with Tony is, how do we finish up the rest of Main Street, which at the very top side of Lot 2, which is right here, that's what they're completing. That leaves this uncompleted. I don't like it. I don't know. I'm sure you guys don't like it either. You want to have a finished project. The thing that you create when you do a project of this size is the window. What's the window? When you drive in, does it feel right? Does it feel good? I'd like to see this completed. We are currently working with an entity to do a hotel on that site, which would be great. It's a we've done the design work for them. We've done everything. So that's an outside possibility, and I'd like to bring that to the table as fast as we could, because I want to get that road completed. The other thing that I had requested of staff, is there a way that we could share in some way to build that out? You put up part of the money, we'll put up part of the money. I'd like to see it done, get it completed. It's about $750,000. It's not a cheap thing to do.
Hang on. Don't we own the shopping center side of that property along Main Street?
Yes.
The Main Street extension?
Both sides, yes.
Yeah. It's 1.2 acres, which is this little piece right here. That is not being used for anything other than for entry monumenting. And originally,
for what?
Entry monumenting. So when you come into the project, you say, "What's here?
Right.
Where are you going?" And then there was a request by Neely to put in the parking there for the trailhead. With this concept, we're talking about putting in the parking right here for the trailhead, which would give you 2 access points. One would be a ramp going down the side. The other is for the handicap. If we build the parking structure for the units on top, there'll be a elevator that could take them to the garage. From the garage, they go right out to the Esplanade. So it works in so many ways in terms of being a public space. And if you look at the blue here, all of that is public access. Pink is parking, and the yellow is the live-work units, which are right across here. So we've got a nice mix of uses. We've got 8,700 of the live-work, and then in here we have 7,000 square feet of office, and then restaurant, and then we also have a leasing office and an exercise area there. So the thing that's nice about it is that the back, which I think is really cool, is that we have this whole space that becomes public space. Before, in the design, where we had parking that would work, given if we had to deal with Tri-City, we had 2 office buildings here at 40,000 each. They took up the whole space. I mean, that would be great if, in fact, you could fill it up, and it would be a nice economic benefit. But given that that's not there, my thought was working with our consultants is let's turn it into a public space and make it an exciting, really cool thing. So this area really is public access, even though there's a pool here. Some people like to go out and see who's at the pool, if you're in the public. So it's a...
Is that an actual swimming pool?
I think it's just a water. That's a swimming pool or a water feature.
Right here is a swimming pool, and it's not connected in terms of the actual water, but the water will flow out so that it looks like it's coming out of the pool.
Right.
So it becomes a
An
water
infinity
feature down here
pool.
at the Esplanade. And if you recall, the Esplanade in this area, across the frontage here, up here, for 100 feet on this side and 100 feet on this side, it's 20 feet wide. The rest of it is 10. But you can actually bring out, antique boats, have a Saturday market, have some pretty exciting things. That was one of our original intentions, but now we have the ability to do it out here, also on this plaza.
The amphitheater, is that still?
Amphitheater
There?
is like right over here.
It's over there. Okay. It reminds me a little bit of Seaside, how you have the stairs down, the public access. I think that's great. How you've adjusted your plans to market changes, I think is really good. I think it's really smart. And I do think that this is a good use of the space to make it. It has probably one of the best views. So for the restaurants to have the views and also a public plaza, so I think it's great.
So, and I think that it's a good change as well because, after the people go home from work, it's the apartments, right? It's kind of like a mini community, and they need a place to go, after work and on weekends, and that it just kind of, I think it fits a little bit better for that area. And I also am encouraged that both of them, Phase 1 and this Phase 2, is going to be planning on starting in 2016, right?
Yes.
And because before it was going to be Phase 1 first, and then Phase 2, and so on and so forth. And I'm glad that Phase 2 is starting the same time as Phase 1 because for me trying to rent an apartment with the Phase 1 and all the blatant area that I'm looking at wasn't very encouraging, right? So I like that the Phase 1 and Phase 2 are happening at the same time, and I think it will really sell better.
We have done probably 3 projects where you have 400 to 500 units at one time. That's a lot of units. It is a unique marketing approach. But the beauty of this project is that the garden apartments, the 244, are market rate, garden rentals. The waterfront is a premium product. It is unique. It has security. It has elevators for every building. It has, when you walk in the units, they average 26 feet wide. And the living and the kitchen are right on the view. So you literally walk in, you walk past part of the kitchen, you walk past the bedroom, which is to the backside, and you walk out, and you've got all glass looking at the water. That's doesn't get any better than that in terms of our project, and I've done 8 waterfront projects. This project will require, though, about $200 a month more. Mm-hmm. So they're not cross competitive. This is a whole different market. Mm-hmm. I'm very comfortable starting this. The reason that the Phase 1 and Phase 2 were in a parallel program was because of the DDA. It was a mandate under the DDA that Phase 1 had to start first. Right. Period. That was modified. So the DDA now does not require that to start first. So you can actually start them both at the same time. We have a lot of work to do on Phase 2. We have to do the pre-app. We've submitted most of the documentation. Then we have to do a new DDA, and we have to come back and do a modified detailed development plan to change the Lot 5. But in terms of our progression and looking at the critical path, we believe that we could be in a position to start probably 4 months after Phase 1. And that's probably good because it'll take 3 to 4 months just to move the dirt from where they're moving dirt, and then we'll come back in and move dirt. It'd be nice if we were doing it simultaneously and using the same contractor. There is a conflict under the Boley issue where we can't do that, which is, that's a toughie. But we would like to get in there in spring. They're talking about 3 months into next year to start, and I think that they've got most of the things submitted that will allow them to do that. So one of the things that is unique when I made the deal with them to do that project, they asked me to be a consultant for them, and I meet every week and I go through everything that they're doing. So I've got a very good handle, and the nice part of it is that they are spending hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars moving everything forward. So this isn't like a false start or somebody saying we might do it. The intention is that they will close on the dirt in December ahead of actually having all entitlements. But that's kind of where they have to be because of the purchase and sale agreement is. So in terms of a project moving forward, we have done them at 400. We usually start out 200 at a time and then progressively move into the next two. So this is comfortable. It's still a big project. This project will be close to $75 million, just this project. The other project will be about another 35. So we're bringing in $100 million in terms of product. That, even though there is a tax abatement, that shows that there's things going on in the city. And what I really like about this new concept that's exciting to me is that the public can come out here and come down to Oregon City. It brings up one of the ancillary issues that is very upsetting to me is the quality of the water and not having the dredging done. And I've talked with both Eric and Tony about that. We have to get that done. I mean, I'm predicating a major investment, and the water doesn't work. And it's not a big deal. I mean, I went out there last week and walked it with Jerry Herman. We went through the whole waterway and what could be done. We have a dredging permit. We got to write a check and get it done. It needs to be cleaned up. So that's something that the commission needs to consider.
Any other? Brian?
So, originally, we had the office setting there, and I was really kind of encouraged with this project because it was jobs. But I'm kind of over that now. So, because I can really see as this is going to be a successful project for Oregon City, just minus the jobs part of it. So, and I like the idea that it's kind of a live, work, play atmosphere there. That
Campaign's over, Brian.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Did I bring my sign? But that's the idea is that we don't want people to leave Oregon City, and to do those things. We want them to be here, and so I appreciate that part of it. Now, is that parking structure? Is that going to be the whole underneath that whole building then?
Yes.
Each
It actually would support more parking than we are proposing. We're proposing about 46 spaces there, which is about a 2-to-1 for the residents above. But by having that there, we clean up the area, all the frontage for public parking. And where we were only going to have 14 parking spaces back up here at the trailhead, we now have about 36.
You're going to need it because that's
Yeah.
going to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
Well, and the concept of going and building a parking structure, that's not inexpensive. I mean, it really, but what it does, it cleans it all up, gets the parking centralized, brings the people who are going to the restaurant. And when talking with Eric and Tony, I said, we're going to have to put a gated entry into each of the apartment buildings, which would be over here and here. Then here, this parking will be open, so that there's 41 spaces there for restaurant. There's another 36 here. And then over here, we block it again because we can't have people. We have a major event down there that's going on, and having done that before at Oswego Point, it got so many cars. It filled up for the restaurants. It filled up for everything for different bands that we had at the amphitheater. They ended up having to bust them in, and we had to block it off to let people come in to go dining. So we've thought it out pretty well, I believe. And then these little signage things here are nice, which will be throughout the project, saying, what's at each location and, where you are. So it's,
I think just to clarify,
Yeah.
is that this is the only place that there's going to be structured underground parking is on lot 5 in the middle.
So the new
Everything else
building,
will be a
that's where I was going,
combination
yeah.
of
So it's
private.
underground on that one building.
Okay, so lot 3, 4, all them.
One,
the
two,
park-
three.
Will be gated surface parking
Gated surface parking.
for
Yeah.
the residents,
Okay.
and then what you see in kind of the pink, purple, pinkish color there would be the public,
Got it.
on street and
So
on-site
what about
parking.
what about on the Cove side? On those other buildings, is there some security measure to keep the public from walking up to the buildings from the Cove side?
No. This Esplanade will be public. We've done it on several projects. You have to have signage. You have to say that it's open for, like closes at 10 o'clock. There will be lighting along here.
And then what, you use card access for the residents if they're coming in from that side?
Well, there is no coming in from that side. This is, at this level, you're at elevation 52. You drop down to 42 to 40 here. So the only driving access is...
No, I'm talking about
This one.
pedestrian
Yeah.
access.
Oh, pedestrian. Yeah. This blue is a pedestrian. So if you come in here and you park here as public, you can come over here and walk down between the buildings. There are 3 primary access points here, here, and here for the public, or coming around here and going to the Esplanade, or going up here. There's 29 spaces up there at the amphitheater.
Okay.
There's plenty of access points. And that's one of the major things we've done on every waterfront project is bring the public to the property. It's kind of like a give back, a lot of people want to take and isolate that and make that their own property, but it's not necessary. The
So
big
what's-
thing is monitoring it.
What's the construction timeline, completion?
It's always a good question. We built a big project down the coast, and I was the contractor. I've been the contractor on almost all of our projects, except for the last 3. And we built 3 waterfront big projects right on the ocean. And it took us 18 months, and I went, oh my God, my company isn't working right here. So I hired Swinnerton from Portland. They said, well, we'll bring people, from Portland. Took them 20 months.
Yeah, I was going to say.
And I went, oh my gosh, not only did I give up the construction fee, I gave up the time, but it'll take, probably 14 to 18 months to build this out. These aren't really tricky buildings. They're 4-story wood frame with an elevator, so it's pretty straightforward. The expensive part of it is that these are single loaded, meaning that you walk in the front of this building, like right here, and there's not another unit on this side and a unit on that side. They're single loaded. So that means that you're paying for a lot more skin on the building. So they are expensive. They're about $150 a foot. And the standard right now would be maybe in the 120. So by adding this lot 5 helps that pro forma, because the price on the dirt is $10, but we added a parking structure and we're adding more units. So in effect, it added, instead of just the 25 above the parking structure, it added another 4 units because we had, in the site plan here, we had one of the units down below was a restaurant. In this building, a restaurant, then over here, exercise, over here, leasing. So now we've consolidated everything into the center building, which once again is very positive. So, sometimes you look at these things and you go, oh my God, we lost a major component of our project. 80,000 square feet would have been a lot of money. I mean, at an average of $250 a foot. But if it's not there, it's not going to work. It's what I call pastel del cielo, pie in the sky. It's not going to happen.
What phase is the amphitheater in?
It's in the second phase.
It is in the second phase.
Most of the dirt will be removed in phase 1, and it'll be hydroseeded and cleaned up. And then in phase 2, we come back in and plan it out and finish the pathways.
So if I'm walking along the Esplanade, looking to the right on your lovely project, am I seeing landscaping or am I seeing ground floor apartment, parking garages, or what am I seeing?
When you walk along here, this will all be landscaped on this side of the Esplanade. On this side, I don't know, if you haven't seen the plans, you should take a look at them. I mean,
Yeah.
the plans are 98% completed to CDs, construction drawings. It's phenomenal. The amount of planning will be gorgeous. I'm really looking forward to that part of it, and it will be just a beautiful area. It'll be very nice.
So a landscape buffer between the Esplanade and the apartments.
Landscaping there, but much more landscaping because this lot, tract C, which is here, is a big tract. It goes from here, that line, right to there, up to this line. That's all landscape going down to the water.
Because it's an elevation change.
Well,
Esplanade.
because it's in the floodplain.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Right.
the blue is the Esplanade, though, right?
Yeah, the blue is
So
the
I think,
Esplanade.
Renee, you're talking about from the Esplanade
Out
to
of
the
this
apartments.
line.
No, the other way.
This way.
The other way,
Water.
though.
She's
Yeah, the
talking
other
about
way.
from the Esplanade going back towards the apartments.
You're looking
Yeah,
at
that's this area right here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
that's all
Esplanade is
landscape.
lower, though, right?
Well,
In the
that's,
apartments.
That's on like forget the I think it's close to a 3-to-1, might be a little steeper. But that'll all be planted also. But the major planting, which is the visual corridor here, is this area out here. It's a big tract, and the landscape plans are spectacular. Matter of fact, they're
Yeah.
It's
they're
part of
excessive.
restoration.
So the
Yeah, I know.
the big question here is what are your thoughts on Jerry Herman's well, he's using that property there. It's Gladstone property on the north there, that little spit there, right? What are your thoughts about that since you've been able to massage this whole site now? What do you think of that in case that ever becomes a possibility for us to?
Acquire it.
Yeah.
Well, that's at an elevation of 32 also, as is lot 1 here. Lot 1 requires a 2-story podium to be able to actually build anything. You cannot build anything residential. It has to be something commercial. So a 2-story podium, when we priced it out 5 years ago, was about $4 million. That's 4.45 acres. The average price of that kind of property would be about $9. So that, once again, on the urban renewal is a $10 bill to buy that for us, but we have to spend $4 million to make it buildable. So now you're right back to a market price. That'd be the same thing with his property over here. Jerry's. I walked it with him.
Yeah.
And it's a nice setting because you would have the river and you would have the cove, but it's the same issue. You'd have to build something non-residential, which could be an office building. The thing that I like about buying it, if you can do an inner city thing, is buying it at a very cheap price and just keeping it as like the peninsula is. Not to put it into production. It is not, to me, something that will constitute an economic opportunity.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks.
The one quickie, in the neighborhood meeting, the police department was there and talking about all the arrests that they have out here and the dangerous people. I would like to, at some point, come back and propose gating that off at certain hours and actually, really monitoring it for a period of time, because that's a very negative thing to have in a high-end product like this.
Then again, with the additional traffic and things that, those people typically don't like to have other people around. So, I think once you start construction and stuff, those kind of people are kind of going to disappear.
Well, it's unfortunate in one way because it's out there about 8 o'clock in the morning and they were offering me beers. That's crazy. It's a scary set of circumstances. It's not a place that, you want to have in this community.
Sure.
Chair, I'd like to move to approve item 15-604, revisions of the code disposition and development agreement, change of the use for Lot 5.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Call for roll. A vote.
Commissioner Polly,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Benville,
Aye.
Commissioner Holliday,
Aye.
Commissioner Mingelberg,
Aye.
Chair Smith.
Aye.
So So as
Hopefully-
one motion, I would move to approve the minutes of September 2nd, 2015 and September 16th, 2015 regular meeting.
I second both.
Okay, moved and seconded.
Thank you again.
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Good seeing you again.
I don't think I'll be back.
Yeah, okay.
We hope not. No more changes. Let's start
You can always come
construction.
by and see us, Ed, you know.
2016.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Make sure you let us know when you break ground.
I will.
right.
We'll have a party.
There you go.
That'd be
Yeah.
awesome.
Commissioner Polly,
Aye.
Commissioner Shaw,
Aye.
Commissioner Benville,
Aye.
Commissioner Holiday,
Aye.
Commissioner Mangelberg,
Aye.
and Chair Smith.
Aye. All right. And let's see.
I had something I wanted to talk about.
Future agenda.
items, and now I can't remember what it is. We'll work it out.
Okay, and city manager's report.
I have nothing,
Nothing?
to report for tonight.
All right, then we're adjourned to, we have an executive session.